me is no other person but our own Ifeoma Nwagbogwu. Bonjour Ifeoma, and welcome to the show.
Bonjour Ezine, bonjour à tous, soyez les bienvenus.
Is no other person but our own Ifeoma Nwagbogwu. Bonjour Ifeoma, and welcome to the show.
Bonjour Ezine, bonjour à tous, soyez les bienvenus.
Is no other person but our own Ifeoma Nwagbogwu.
Bonjour Ezine, soyez les bienvenus à tout le monde à Live Conversations, une émission de l'écurie de Maritime TV Africa qui discute des politiques, des développements et des événements au sein de l'économie bleue en Afrique avec les parties prenantes. Notre hôte, c'est Ezine Azuna, je m'appelle Ifeoma Nwagbogwu.
I think that H is fixed. Hello? Hello, can you hear me well now?
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Apologies for that. So thank you for joining us. And today, all the conversations we're going to be having would be translated in French. Today, we're talking about the fight against substandard shipping within the West and Central Africa. And it's our delight to have this conversation around what the Abuja MoU is doing. Abuja MoU is the Memorandum of Understanding for the West and Central Africa. And it's our delight to have joining us this morning, Captain Sunday Umoren, who is the Secretary General. Welcome to the show, Captain.
Pour notre toute première émission de l'année, nous discuterons du protocole d'accord d'Abuja et de la lutte contre les transports maritimes de qualité inférieure aux normes internationales en Afrique de l'Ouest et du Centre. Le protocole d'accord d'Abuja est le mémorandum d'entente sur le contrôle des navires par l'État du port dans la région de l'Afrique de l'Ouest et du Centre. C'est donc un plaisir pour nous d'avoir parmi nous aujourd'hui le secrétaire général du protocole, le Capitaine Sunday Umoren. Bonjour, monsieur le capitaine, et soyez le bienvenu.
Yes, thank you for joining us, Captain. So we'll just go straight to the questions. You would agree with me that we do not have a lot of time for this morning's conversation, just 20 minutes. And so let me ask my first question, which is, sir, you have 22 nations as part of the Abuja MoU at the moment, and you have more nations joining in. I would like to know exactly how important port state control is for the African region, especially as we're beginning to push forward the blue economy and after.
Monsieur, vous avez 22 nations et ce n'est pas fini, sont membres du protocole d'accord d'Abuja. Pourquoi le contrôle de l'État du port est-il important pour l'Afrique?
Okay, thank you very much, and our host, the interpreter, and the audience. Very good morning to you all. It's a pleasure to be here today. So first, geographically, Abuja MoU has 22 countries spanning from Mauritania to South Africa, with South Tome and Capt included in the list, of which we have 20 have signed up as permanent members. We still have 2 members to go. Okay, so I guess I'll finish before the interpretation. So I'll go this way. First, the primary objective of the Memorandum of Understanding is to rid the sea, to rid the region, to rid the world of substandard ships. The main question now is, what is considered as a substandard ship? A substandard ship is a ship that may have any of the following issues: defective in design and construction, neglect of its maintenance and repairs, prolonged being used past its what we actually will call the its working life, and of course it's due for scrapping. A vessel that is poorly or undermanned, or a vessel that is maintaining an unacceptable standards. So why do we have to bother ourselves with substandard ships? There are a lot of knock-on effects of substandard ships, part of which are these are the leading causes of marine incidents and accidents. There is also the threat to human life, to properties and interfaces as in the port that the vessels are visiting. There is the risk of harm to the marine environment. And of course, there is also the economic impact. Such ships could, any accident will always mean the cargoes on board are exposed or the facilities they are in. And of course, there's also the knock-on effect on this disruption of services. So we are here to eliminate substandard vessels, do everything to eliminate substandard vessels. And Madam, as you have said, you use the word fight. I never saw it as a fight. I actually thought it was advocacy, but in all honesty, I've aligned with you that it is a fight against substandard ships. They should not be found. They should not be trading because of the exposure to human lives, to the environment, and to properties.
En somme, la raison pour laquelle l'accord est important, c'est pour enlever des eaux les bateaux inférieurs. Cela est nécessaire parce que la coopération maritime garantit la sécurité et la prospérité des États côtiers. Aussi, si on n'arrive pas à enlever les bateaux inférieurs des eaux, ça engendre d'autres problèmes tels que les dangers, ça nous rendre difficile d'avoir d'écoulement des internationales appliquées en matière de protection de l'environnement marin, le sauvegarde de la vie humaine en mer et la condition de vie de travail des gens de mer. Vous avez dit, madame, que c'était une lutte. Moi, je n'avais pas vu ça comme une lutte, mais c'est vraiment une lutte. Les navires inférieurs ne doivent pas être dans nos eaux.
Thank you very much, Ifoma, for that. And thank you, Captain, for that response. So my second question would be, you've done a good job, an impressive response you gave us. And yes, you've aligned with our vision or our view of it as a fight. What is the evidence that Abuja MoU's work has reduced substandard ships flying within the region? How are we supposed to know beyond what you tell us? Are there statistical evidence from the moment you began, this pact was entered to this point? How do we know that substandard shipping has reduced?
Il est évident par votre réponse, monsieur, que vous avez vraiment fait beaucoup de travail dans ce sens. Mais nous vous demandons quelles sont les preuves qu'il y a vraiment une amélioration de qualité par rapport aux normes internationales dans le transport maritime en Afrique de l'Ouest et du Centre. Est-ce que vous avez des chiffres, des statistiques à partager avec nous?
Okay, first, the MOU system is a net, a protective net covering the region. And so the key thing with that will be the membership. You have to get everybody in for you to ensure that effective inspections are being carried out. And so when I came in, within the period I've been in, we've been able to bring in 4 countries. 4 countries have joined us. And like I said, we have 2 outstanding, which we are pushing to get them in this year. So once we have all the member states in, it means the net around the West and Central Africa region is unbridged. There's no gap for any substandard vessel to slip through. So in terms of effectiveness, one of the things I can point out is let's look at statistics. Statistics to speak for us. In 2020, a total of 2,337 ships were inspected. In 2021, 2,605 vessels were inspected. In 2022, 2,421 ships were inspected. And in 2023, 2,921. You could see the progression. We are increasing. The capacity is improving. And so what does that mean? It means more vessels are inspected. As per our charter, we are supposed to inspect at least 15% of ships or foreign vessels visiting the region. And so we are progressing to meet that target. And with that, you are you can talk about the delta. Okay, how are you sure the 15% of ships you are inspecting are the ones that are probably exposing the region most? And so we have what we call inspection regime, to which ships are banded. We have what we call the high-risk vessels, the white, green, and black list. And so the high-risk vessels are the ones we zoom our attention to. What are those? Some of the vessels that are in that region, in that band, are vessels that have not been inspected, say probably in the past 1 year. Vessels that have not been in our region in the past 1 year. Older vessels. Older vessels, and of course, vessels that have been detained in other regions. So the other statistics that may speak for us is the number of detentions. In 2020, only 9 ships were detained. It's 9 substandard ships. In 2020, 21, 23 were detained. In 2022, 19 were detained, and 2023, 22 were detained. So that detention is actually a signal out there to operators of substandard ships that, hey, you stand the risk of being detained if you visit the West and Central African region. And so that puts them on their toes to put in that much effort required to ensure that their ships are well maintained. And then we've worked on capacity building, training of our postal control officers, because you can't give what you don't have. So that capacity building with respect to training, it's so effective. And we have actually looked at it and said, look, it's not enough for the field workers to have full knowledge of what to do. You need the support of the policymakers. So last year, we had a training for all the Director Generals of the Maritime administrations in our region. And it was agreed that we should be having it every 2 years. And so this year again, we're going to have a repeat of that training to reassess the actions, the recommendations that were made during the last training. So we are working towards, and of course, I don't want to use the word that putting the fear in the minds of the operators, but making them realize that we have transparent and effective enforcement regime in the West and Central African region.
OK. Le système de MOU, c'est un couvrement. Cela protège. Il faut que tout le monde soit membre. Donc, la première chose, c'est les membres, le nombre de gens qui sont membres. Maintenant, nous avons déjà 20 pays, 20 nations membres et 2 qui vont signer. La deuxième chose, c'est de voir le nombre de navires qui ont été inspectés. Dans l'année 2080, nous avons eu 2337 ont été inspectés. En 2021, nous avons eu 2605. En 2022, il y a eu 2721 et en 2023, l'année passée, nous avons inspecté 2921 navires. Donc, vous voyez qu'il y a une croissance. Et plus on inspecte les bateaux, plus on peut voir les non-conformités afin de les corriger. Aussi, il y a le fait de détention. Nous pouvons aussi citer le nombre de navires que nous avons détenus. Et pourquoi on détient les navires qui sont vieilles, les navires qui ont été détenus ailleurs, on prend ça en compte. En 2020, nous avons eu 9 détentions. 2021, nous avons eu 23. En 22, il y avait eu 19. Et en 2023, nous avons eu 22 détentions des navires. Aussi, nous faisons aussi l'entraînement. Nous entraînons nos employés, les officiers, mais nous avons aussi remarqué que ça ne sert à rien d'entraîner les officiers alors que les gens, les dirigeants, les gens qui font la loi, ils ne savent pas grand-chose sur ce que nous faisons. Donc, nous avons commencé l'année passée par faire les entraînements pour les gens qui font les lois aussi. Ça a été bien reçu et nous avons fait le programme cette année de reprendre l'entraînement afin de faire valoir aux gens l'importance de ce que nous faisons.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's quite, your response was quite detailed, showing us how much work you put in. And it's good to know that the region has a protective net when every other party, you know, the two you're expecting to join, once they join, then we may be just very safe within the region. But then another issue of concern is how well received your surveyors are on board, because largely what you do means that you go on board for inspection. So you have your team, your port state control officers going on board various vessels. Now we have heard that it's not as much civility as is accorded flag state control officers are accorded port state control officers. I would like to know if this is true, and if it is, how are you addressing it, such that when your men go on board, they have no hindrances?
Comme vous l'avez dit, monsieur, lors de vos contrôles, l'État du port peut aller jusqu'à immobiliser les navires pour imposer les rectifications des défauts. Donc, nous voulons savoir, est-ce que vos officiers sont bien accueillis parmi les armateurs, les équipages des navires, les gens de mer, et même pas l'État du pavillon lorsqu'ils montent à bord pour faire les inspections? Parce qu'il est chuchoté que plus de civilité semble être accordée aux officiers de l'État du pavillon qu'à ceux de l'État du port. Est-ce que c'est vrai? Qu'en pensez-vous de cela et comment abordez-vous le problème, si problème y est, afin que le travail soit bien fait?
Okay, thank you very much. It's quite an interesting aspect, you know. The job of an enforcement officer is to ensure implementation of rules and regulations. However, human nature, the way we are all created, there's always something in us that resists the work of the enforcement officer. Take a guy that's being stopped by the road by the policeman. There is that aggressive part of him asking, why are you stopping me? Get the custom officer to go on board for inspection. There's also that aspect. So enforcement officers are faced with this kind of reactions. However, it's for them to be trained to understand that this is natural reflex, and to let them get to understand one point. Look, I am not here to nail you. I'm actually here to protect you. And for ship owners, if they are quite objective, if they are objective in their reasoning, they will actually know that we are working to ensure the safety of the security of their investment. Because he has paid the seafarer on board to do its job, and the guy may be relaxed. The guy may not be proficient in execution of what he's been paid to do. And we will actually highlight those points and say, hey, this area needs some improvement. And of course, for the seafarers, we work with safety of life convention, SOLAS convention is the key convention we use in port state control. And what is the meaning? Safety of life at sea, protection of the seafarer. We are the guys that for this next level to ensure that every seafarer on board is guaranteed safe stay, safe tour on board the vessel, and that it goes home at the end of the day whole. Some get involved in an accident, losing their limbs and the rest. So, like I said, it's a tough deal, but we train the cost control officers to be objective. We try to educate our stakeholders on the imperative, on the fact that look, we are for you. And there is also a feedback system. If at any point in time you feel the inspector is not objective, please bring it up. We will close out we will investigate and of course take action where the guy probably goes off against the code of conduct. And of course, the other stakeholder is the government. Every government should embrace us because first, your environment is protected. You talk about the effectiveness of postal control regime. We ask ourselves, have we ever had massive pollution case in our waters in West and Central African region? No. It is one of the outcomes of effective postal control regime that the marine environment, maritime environment, marine environment is protected. So the government stand to gain from us. If you have massive pollution, all your waters polluted, you will lose so much. And of course, we move to IMO. IMO too. IMO happens to be our father, a sponsor. And IMO is very happy because the key mission of IMO is safer seas. Safer seas and protection of the marine environment. And so we are their foot soldiers. We ensure that that's the mission and the vision of IMO is achieved. So generally, yes, people are sometimes a bit not too open to us, but with time, with advocacy, they get to appreciate and acknowledge the fact that Port State is for them, not against them. Thank you.
Oui, c'est une question intéressante. Les inspecteurs, leur travail, c'est d'assurer la conformité aux normes. Mais cela engendre toujours la résistance, c'est normal. Néanmoins, nous les faisons comprendre que cela est naturel, donc ils sont bien entraînés quand ils montent à bord des navires en comment aborder les gens. Il faut les faire comprendre que nous sommes ici pour vous. Nous sommes ici pour aider votre travail. Nous sommes ici pour vous aider à assurer votre investissement. Donc, les armateurs qui ont les navires, nous leur faisons comprendre qu'ils n'ont pas à nous agresser parce que quand nous montrons les non-conformités, les défauts, cela les aide à s'améliorer. Nous signalons les cas et nous les encourageons à les rectifier. Nous sommes là pour le sauvegarde de la vie humaine en mer, le sauvegarde des conditions de vie et de travail des gens de mer. Notre priorité, c'est en fait que les gens rentrent chez eux sains et saufs. Quand nous signalons les défauts, ça les aide à faire ce qu'il faut pour rentrer chez eux sains et saufs. Nous avons ici un système de feedback. S'il y a les officiers qui montent là et qui abusent de leur autorité, il y a une façon de nous faire signaler ça pour que nous fassions en sorte que cela ne se reproduise pas. Le gouvernement aussi, le gouvernement a intérêt à nous aider, puisque depuis que nous sommes là dans l'Afrique de l'Ouest et du Centre, nous n'avons pas eu des histoires de polluants sur la mer. Pourquoi? Parce que nous faisons bien notre travail. Donc, le gouvernement en gagne, les amateurs en gagnent, tout le monde en gagne. C'est normal d'avoir la résistance, mais à la fin, c'est pour le bien de tout le monde.
All right, thank you very much, Captain. I have just one more question before we wrap up. And I would like you to, within 1 minute, share your thoughts on the push for a global MOU. You know, like you rightly pointed out, the regional one is supposed to be a protective net. But when we have countries or states not being part of the MOU, then it makes it porous, you know. And so as a result of this and many other reasons, there is the push for a global MOU. Could you share your thoughts on that? In 1 minute, please.
Okay, in 1 minute. So I'm going to speak very fast. Okay, interpretation before, yeah.
Est-ce que vous pouvez nous faire savoir votre pensée sur la pression qui est montée pour un accord mondial? Les gens disent que l'accord régional est défectif, ça ne couvre pas tout. Et ils disent aussi que les gens sont indulgents. L'application varie de nation en nation. Qu'en pensez-vous d'un accord mondial, oui ou non?
Okay, thank you very much. Like I said, the International Maritime Organization created the MOU regime, and the whole world is partitioned into 9 regions, 9 MOUs, of which we are one. Yes, on the regional basis, West and Central African region, we will take every effort, ensure that substandard vessels do not actually trade within. But I can actually tell you the global MOU, the achievement or the work towards the global implementation has always been there, although not really pronounced, but somehow it has always been there because we all sit together. We are observers in each other's meetings. We share, we have the big brothers, the Paris MOU and the Tokyo MOUs, who probably have a platform that we actually latch on, the younger MOUs. We also have what we call the platform, the database platform that is being shared. And now there is this relationship such that if a substandard vessel is leaving one region to the other, we are also informed. We're informed, hey, so such vessel has been detained. And so that global work has always been there, but it's now being formalized because it is the net. Rather than have the net at each region, now you have the net covering the whole world. It will then become very difficult because, like you said, some regions may be weaker, probably because of lower capacity, and those substandard vessels will tend to be going there and staying away from the much more stringent, the regions that are much more stringent in the enforcement of the regulations. So we are coming together will ensure that there will be no hiding place. And I repeat, no hiding place for substandard vessels. So we are collaborating, we are working towards that because the key word is harmonization. Whatever you are subjected to in Abuja MOU region, it's the same thing you'll be subjected to in Paris MOU region, which is the European waters. And it's the same standard you'll be subjected to in what do you call it, in the Tokyo MOU region, which is the Pacific. And so you can't run away from it. And that will also is also another way of easing pressure on business, because if you're inspected in Paris MOU, we may now say, okay, because you've been inspected there, we don't have to inspect you again, because we trust the outcome, the output of the inspection regime there. So I think that's the bit I can say on this, but it's quite huge. It's quite huge. And I think it's a very positive thing for the whole world and for the maritime world. Thank you.
Puis je veux dire rapidement que le concept de l'accord mondial a toujours été là. Le régime de MOU, au début, a été divisé en régions. Mais maintenant, nous voyons qu'il y a une collaboration entre les différentes MOU. Nous avons les grands frères de Paris, de Tokyo, les MOU de l'accord de Paris et de Tokyo. Maintenant, nous échangeons des idées. C'est donc la collaboration, la création, ça se fait et je l'encourage parce que c'est une bonne chose. Ça va aussi faciliter les affaires. Si vous avez été en tant que navire inspecté par l'accord de Paris, nous n'avons plus besoin de vous inspecter quand vous venez ici. Donc, ça va faire, c'est comme un couvrement. Ça va faciliter les affaires, ça va faire en sorte qu'il y a plus de travail fait et de façon plus efficace et plus rapide. Donc, c'est une bonne chose et je l'accepte.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that response and for being with us today Captain Umoren. I have a long list of questions, and I really wish we could just go on, but we'll definitely extend another invitation to you. Thank you for coming and for joining us today. To our viewers, would like to say thank you for staying with us today on Live Conversations. The topic was Abuja MoU and the fight against substandard shipping within the region. My name remains Ezinne Azuna, and with me through the conversation was Ifoma Mabogo, who was providing the translation in French. We'll come your way again next week, Monday at 9 a.m. We hope you make it a date. Thank you and stay blessed.
Cher Captain Umoren, merci d'avoir passé le temps avec nous et d'avoir partagé vos réflexions. Cela a été très instructif, mais le temps est passé, donc nous allons boucler en ce moment, mais nous espérons vous voir très bientôt. Notre cher téléspectateur, nous vous remercions de nous avoir rejoints aujourd'hui pour cette toute première émission de l'année. Nous apprécions votre attention et s'il plaît à Dieu, nous vous verrons la semaine prochaine. Au revoir.
Captain, au revoir.
So from me, thank you all and stay good, stay well, protect the sea, ensure that all goes well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you on Monday again. Thank you.
Au
Bye.
revoir.
Au revoir.